Here we have a new 2023 Nissan Leaf. Now this Leaf is going to be the cheapest one you can get. This is going to be in the S trim level. Comes in gun metallic on charcoal cloth interior. And then this one, I think, puts out 149 horsepower. You have the smaller 40 kilowatt hour battery and then the 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger. So as we come around to the front here, we get the halogen headlamps, and they just cut off by themselves. They're not playing nice, but I want to go ahead and show the charger, so I'll pop this really quick. Over here we have the CCS, and then over here we have the J1772. So that's how you'll charge it. And then down here we have 16-inch steel wheels, so we have little hubcaps on. We get passive keyless entry on the front two doors. And then over here we have the controls for our power door locks. We have one touch up and down functionality for the power window on the driver's side, and the rest of them are just normal. And then power window, or power mirror controls, excuse me, are here. We can adjust that. And then a pretty good sized cup holder here, and then a little mat pocket there. And then here we have our manual driver's seat. And before we check out the rear seat room, let's go ahead and look at this window sticker. So I can't remember what I said. It's 147 horsepower for the motor. So there's all that info there, and a huge shout out to John Roberts Nissan for allowing me to review this today. So legroom is fairly decent in here. The only drawback is I think that's about as far as that seat will go. And I adjusted the best I could for someone who's 6'3". But I feel really cramped up there. But I do have a bit of headroom. I could do it if I needed to. I'd just rather not. I feel like the competition, pretty much every single vehicle has better interior space, but it's nice that you still get this legroom back here with the seat all the way back. And then we do have two USB-A charge ports there. There's another view of the front from back here. Now I have always liked this feature, having this kind of storage pocket here, and having the cup holders back here. And then pocket behind the seat on the front passenger side. And we can adjust the light, either off door or on. That's actually pretty easy switch to use. And then you have little grab bars on all four doors. Let's go ahead and check out the back next. So we do get our rear parking sensors on this one. And a very good sized cargo space here. And this is actually Velcroed to this to keep it from sliding around, and your charger and all that's gonna be in there. And you have floor mats, emergency road kit, and all that in there. And then that's the end down there, so I don't know. If this has a spare or not. I want to say it does not, because I can't seem to find it. I don't know where else it would be. So that's interesting. Please leave a comment below if you know where the spare tire is on the Nissan Leaf. I'm just curious. And then these seats fold flat, and you can actually run longer objects through here. Not too long, but you can just have additional storage as well if you just want to do that. here is our front passenger seat. Now I will say, for the money, you really can't beat the value of a Nissan Leaf if you're able to use it. If you drive 10 or 15 miles one way or less, then this is a really good option for you. But me, I drive, I think, 50 miles one way, so I have a Mustang Mach-E, and the distance with the smaller battery wouldn't cut it, and then having the larger battery, I'd be pushing it every day. And that's if I just go to work and come back. And of course, it's always nice to be able to open the hood on an EV. So there's everything there. With this one having a front mounted motor, with it being front wheel drive, you can actually see everything in here, which I appreciate, because once it becomes easier to work on these, even like with a battery on a Mach-E, I feel like it wouldn't be that easy to change out my 12 volt, because it wouldn't be sitting there staring at me. So that's pretty neat. Let's go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. So of course, your standard vinyl plastic steering wheel here, but you gotta love Nissan with these flat bottoms. Even in the Nissan Leaf, want to feel sporty while you're driving. Then over here to the radio, we do get AM, FM, XM, along with Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto wired. There's a shortcut there. I always like having this on the Nissans, being able to adjust that brightness, because I like mine like that, and then my partner likes hers like that. So there you go. And then, of course, you can toggle your connections real quick, set up your Bluetooth, USB, system info there if you ever want to look at that. And then your actual settings, you can go in here and adjust all of those. And there's your backup camera. And if you listen closely, you can hear the dings when this car is in reverse. So I actually like that quite a lot. Then you have guidelines as you turn the steering wheel. And like I said, for the money, you really can't beat this. Like, even here, we have single zone automatic climate controls. And then, you know, quick buttons like on a normal AC. Then we have a USB-C, USB-A port, and that's how you'll run that CarPlay or Android Auto on your radio. And the 12 volt here. Now, this pocket I find pretty interesting. Now, if you want to put your phone there, you can, but it doesn't wirelessly charge to my knowledge. And then over here, you can toggle your eco mode as well as your e-pedal, which is going to be that one pedal drive. Or I should say added regenerative braking. And then for the shifter, pretty self-explanatory once you get used to it. You just drag this to the left for neutral, then you drag down for drive, up for reverse, press P for park. And of course, you can put in that B mode if you want to, but probably never use that. Cup holders here. Then a small center console cubby tray. I don't even know what you can put in there. But like I said, Nissan makes up for it with that right there. I love that. And there's a view of the back seat from up here. Now you do get the brighter dome lights, which I appreciate, in the front. And then you still get a sunglasses case there. There's your glove compartment, which is adequate. Now back to the steering wheel, we can adjust volume here, go through our track list or radio station presets here. And then we can use these 4 arrows to go through our gauge cluster. think I actually accidentally fat fingered the volume. So of course, with this being an EV, there are plenty of views in terms of just your economy. And then you can take a look at the battery power and all that. Battery temperature, which I think this is a very, very smart idea, because I don't know many other EVs where I can actually pull that up easily. So I like being able to see that there and kind of adjust my driving accordingly, how I use my heat accordingly. So that's pretty cool. And then to the right side over here, we have just standard cruise controls and then voice recognition controls here. Headlamp controls, blinker, and then your windshield wiper controls. Of course, we can mist here, and then we can pull down either intermittent, low, or high. And then we can adjust the intermittent speed there, and then we can adjust our rear wiper here, and then we can push it back to use the fluid on the rear. And there's our push button start. Finally, here's our key fob. So next, let's go ahead and take this less than $30,000 Nissan Leaf S out on the road for a quick test drive. So I will say I do like that even in eco mode, this Leaf will get up. Of course, it's an EV, so it accelerates better than a gas engine equivalent would. And like I said earlier, for under $30,000, I guess time will tell during this review if this is actually a steal. And so far, I'm pretty impressed. Now this indicator here had me at 191 miles when I first got in the vehicle, and now you can see it's just starting to tick down. Keep in mind it was at 100% the whole time. And since it's only been driven for 5 miles, I take it it's adjusting based on how I've been driving it for the past half a mile or so and having the heat on. But the e-pedal feels really good. Pretty easy to use. Similar to most, I haven't gotten behind the wheel of a terrible one-pedal drive yet. So I probably just jinxed myself, but this one is about as good as my Mustang Mach-E's and then Teslas. But I'm very impressed with this eco mode here. The eco mode doesn't necessarily, I guess, limit it like it would in a gas powered car, limit your power. It just makes it a little, you got to put your foot down more to go. It's mostly psychology, of course. You don't get your full output either when you put your foot into it, but you get pretty close. Yeah, it's just a tad peppier in the standard mode. And the ride is actually pretty decent. Of course, most EVs, because they have their low center of gravity, the ride is not as nice as it would be in an internal combustion engine car, but this is riding relatively smoothly. And I'm actually impressed by how quiet it is inside the cabin. Wind noise is not prevalent at all. I'm trying to listen for it. It's very hard to actually distinguish it between that and just the road noise from the tires, which is also, you have to listen for it. Yeah, the E-pedal is very, very strong. It actually takes getting used to, because some E-pedals, if you're going at a higher rate of speed, doesn't just initially bite that hard. But I actually appreciate it. It kind of makes sense. I like an even kind of bandwidth as you go through the E-pedal or through the regenerative brake. And of course, with this having that instant torque, I had just a little bit of front wheel spin as I kind of put my foot to the floor. Let's go ahead and accelerate here. See if we can heat that battery up. And I really do like just how, I feel like all EV manufacturers should do this. Of course, Nissan's been doing it a little longer with the Leaf, but I love having this kind of, it's like a tachometer for your motor. It shows how much energy you're putting out. So when I put my foot in the floor, it kind of goes up. And then as it brakes, you see it go into that blue zone. I just feel like everybody should be doing that now, so you can kind of keep track of. It's just nice to have that kind of gauge there as we go from gas cars to electric cars. But all in all, only losing 5% on this drive, I'm actually quite impressed by that. And then of course the range gauge has kind of gotten used to my driving, and it's not fluctuating as much as it was. And now I am going over 70, so once you do that, a lot of the times you start to see big differences in range, especially in terms of how much energy you're using in kilowatt hours. So 70 to 80, you're burning quite a bit if you're doing 80 as opposed to 70, but 65 to 70, you're not gonna see nearly any sort of difference. But on the interstate here, I'm pleasantly surprised by how well this rides. Of course, you're not gonna wanna do too many long road trips with this smaller battery, but I do know, I should say, I've seen several Leafs charging next to me. You put it that way. So it's being done. Yeah, that one pedal feels really, really good. And keep in mind, with this being an EV, it is quick. Now, it's not the fastest EV out on the market, not even close. It's gonna be closer to the slowest, but still, very impressive. And like I said, for under $30,000, at the end of this test drive, it's worth it. Very impressed. And this will bring me to the end of my review of the new 2023 Nissan Leaf S.